They were looking at 10 green. I flipped 100 rocks in. Here's what I found.
During the day, there's tons of rocks, which when you flip them, you find cool little bugs like this. But you see, if you wait until night to flip rocks, you're able to find way crazier nocturnal animals like glowing scorpions, giant tarantulas, and so much more that you would have never found during the day.
So hey, it's night. I traveled out to an insane trail that is known for having the craziest nocturnal animals. Let's get to flipping object number 1.
And I'm not kidding, literally on this first rock flip, I found a little California scorpion, which you may already know have the ability to glow in the dark under UV lights. Yeah, pretty much every nocturnal animal has some crazy ability, and in this video, I'm gonna be finding way more insane stuff. Anyways, I went to flip rock number 2, and right underneath was a little spider web with a poor innocent ant trapped inside. So I figured I'd try and help the ant out of the web before a spider came to eat him, but that's when I saw that the ant's movement was being really weird, and it was twitching everywhere. That's when I realized that this ant's head was missing. Yeah, I have no idea how this thing is even moving without a brain even connected to its body, but I guess the spider already got to it. Anyways, as I kept on exploring, the next rock that had something under it was number 5, which at first you may see nothing, but if you take a closer look, this is a tarantula burrow with the biggest tarantula I've ever found while rock flipping. Since tarantulas like this are nocturnal, you basically never get to see them eat, but since it's night, this is the perfect time to test its eating ability. So I took out the backpack to get something important.
It's the new Terra Green activity book.
Yeah, I just released this new book with hours of fun animal activities with the first 100 even hand signed. I'll show you more later, but let's get out what I actually meant to grab from the backpack, a crickets and tweezers. And instantly, I brought the cricket right over to the tarantula's mouth. And yeah, in my last rock flipping video, I tried the same exact thing with no luck of it eating. But this tarantula was clearly much more receptive since it was night and grabbed the cricket straight from my tweezers.
Oh my gosh, he just absolutely devoured that cricket.
And I promise you, that's still just the start of the crazy animals I'm finding on this trail, because under rock number 9, there was actually something pretty interesting. It wasn't big or anything, it was just this little spider. But what caught my attention was his abdomen, because it looked like an eye. Seriously, it just looks like an eye off of some sort of snake species. Imagine when this spider grows bigger and sets up a web in the trees, it's just gonna look like a menacing eye staring down at you, especially at night. That's gotta be creepy. Anyways, as I kept on walking, I got to object 14, and underneath was this little white thing. It's an oak toad, and it's actually pretty dang cute. And right next to this white oak toad was a darker brown oak toad, which if you didn't know, this is the smallest toad species in all of America, and since they're pretty unique, I just had to take out the backpack. And once again, I pulled out some crickets, but this time they're a bit smaller, so these toads will hopefully be able to eat them. So I tried dropping in a few first near the white toad, and he didn't seem very interested. He kind of just hid under the dirt, so I tried putting some crickets by the brown toad, and he just started running away full speed and also wasn't hungry. However, while that was happening, I saw this little ant walk by, and in his mouth was just some massive green worm. I guess he was bringing this back to the colony. Good catch, bro. The queen's gonna be proud of you. And the next rock that I flipped that had something interesting was this. At first, all I saw was another one of those little eye spider things, but as I was getting a closer look at it, out of the corner of my eye, I saw this. A little garter snake burrow. And yep, there was just a snake curled up in there. These guys aren't nocturnal, so this guy was probably just sleeping in here and I just woke him up. Thankfully, they're not venomous though, which I know because in the new Terra Green activity book, there's tons of fun facts. And on this page, it shows all the differences between venomous and non-venomous snakes, and after comparing them, I could tell that if this guy bit me, it would be completely fine. There's no venom.
Okay, well the snake clearly doesn't want to be disturbed.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by thinking about it. Meet Base 40.
So let me go and put his rock back, and let's keep exploring.
And right after walking away, I came across this rock, which had a queen ant under it. It looks like her first worker had just hatched, and it was helping the queen with the rest of the eggs. It's crazy to think that every massive colony with thousands of workers starts like this. So I put the rock back, so hopefully this colony can grow that large. Anyways, as I kept on traveling, the next good rock flip was this, because underneath was a super creepy bug. At first, it was running around super fast, and I couldn't really get a good look at it, but eventually when it stood still, I could tell this was a house centipede, which usually live in houses, hence their name. So I guess this guy escaped into the forest, and yeah, they're just so creepy.
I mean, it's got the head of a cricket, as many legs as a centipede, obviously. And I don't know, it's just like some mutant creature, basically. Oh my gosh, it's so fast.
Yeah, it's basically an alien creature. And speaking of alien creatures, under the very next rock, I found this. It's an ant colony. But what actually caught my attention was right over to the side. This thing. You see, I actually found one of these in my first rock flipping video video, but I never really got a good look at it since it was buried in the ground. Well, here it is outside of the ground. It's a Jerusalem cricket, and they are so weird looking. I don't know what it is, but just like seeing this thing walk around creeps me out. I feel like it's gonna jump on me or something. Now, for a little while, as I continued down the trail, I was flipping tons of rocks and kind of just wasn't finding anything cool. So I actually got a good idea that led to something insane.
Bro, this must just be like the bad luck area. I swear, there's literally nothing. But I actually have a really good idea with something in the backpack. You see, in here, I've actually packed this thing, which is a thermal camera. And if there's animals out here, this thing's definitely gonna be able to track it. That's all I'll say.
Yeah,
basically, a thermal camera picks up heat in the environment, which allows me to see animals during the night. So I started to just go around, pointing it in random directions and putting it under rocks. But as I was doing that, I saw something red appear on the camera. So I looked at what was in front of me and realized that this was an absolutely insane find. It was an antlion larva. If you don't know what these are, they're basically these little insects that dig out circular traps in the floor, specifically designed to trap ants. And when an unsuspecting ant walks in, the antlion makes an attack. And as you can see here, I found an antlion attacking an ant live in person. The antlion was throwing dirt up at the ant as it tried to escape. They do this to try and knock the ant back inside and make it super hard to escape. But I guess this antlion didn't dig a big enough hole because the ant was able to escape.
Bro, I didn't even know these guys lived in deserts. I thought they only lived in forests. That's so crazy.
But yeah, once antlion larvae eat enough ants, they basically evolve like a Pokemon into their final form, which is this cool flying bug. And what was absolutely so insane is literally right next to the antlion larvas on the trail, I found this flying bug. And this is a fully grown antlion. Yeah, probably a few weeks ago, this used to be one of those tiny larvas, but now it has wings, and in fact, it was actually sticking the back of its abdomen in the dirt, laying eggs. Yeah, this antlion was completing its life's purpose and restarting its life cycle, which a very similar life cycle process is all laid out in the new Terra activity book, with even a fun activity at the bottom that lets you design your very own flying insect. Anyways, as I kept on traveling down the trail, I found something super creepy, because under this rock was a beetle. Now you may think that's nothing special, but after giving it a little tap to see its response, I realized that this beetle was long gone. In fact, if you remember that decapitated ant with no head from earlier, well, this beetle had the same exact thing, and his head was only a few inches away, just sitting on the floor.
Bro, what is going around in this forest decapitating all the insects? That's so weird. Okay, hopefully I can find whatever's doing that, because it's gotta be crazy.
A few objects later, I found 3 little millipedes just chilling around. I'm sure you already know this, but millipedes are cool because they got 1,000 tiny little legs that almost make it look like they're slithering around when they walk. Before these guys, I actually took out the backpack, and inside I got out some paintbrushes. I know, seems weird, but just bear with me, because using paintbrushes, I wanted to show millipedes' defense mechanism, which usually activates when you rub them, but I was rubbing this millipede with the paintbrush for like a while, and it was just having a good time continuing to walk. So I went and did the same thing to his friend, and pretty much instantly, this guy did what he was supposed to and rolled up into a ball, which keeps them safe from potential danger.
Okay, that was what was supposed to happen. I don't know why this guy is just kind of refusing to roll up into a ball.
Yeah, I guess this guy had a glitch in the system, or maybe he was just enjoying some free back scratches. I don't know. Anyways, the reason I love this trail so much is because at this point in it, the environment starts to switch from a forest into a desert, meaning I just unlocked an entire new pool of desert animals. And literally under the first rock flip of this new environment, I found a desert hairy scorpion, which is the largest in all of America. And obviously, it was much bigger than the one I found at the start of the video.
Now, as you guys know, scorpions are able to glow under UV light, like I showed earlier in the video, which of course, even the desert ones, they glow too. But I actually have something fun that I want to go and try and test with this guy.
From the backpack, I got out crickets and tweezers. I know, I'm feeding crickets again, but this was easily the coolest feeding experience I've had in a rock flipping video. Because at first, I put the cricket up to the scorpion's mouth, and he grabbed it with his pinchers and kind of just held it for a second.
Dang, he really just took the cricket from me. He's just holding it now. Bro, are you gonna eat it? Don't just leave the cricket in your claws. I bet that hurts the cricket, bro.
So I took it from him and gave him another chance to eat it. This time, he used both of his pinchers to get a really good grip on it. Then he slowly moved his stinger up to it and gave it a little tap. These guys' venom isn't deadly to humans, but to little crickets like this guy, it'll completely paralyze him while the scorpion eats. Now, I wanted to show you guys this super zoomed in footage because basically scorpions use their little mouth mouthpieces to rip open their food until juice starts to leak out. Then they suck the juice up, and you can literally see the juice fill up his head as he ate it. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And then he kind of just started to walk around with the cricket in his mouth and no hands. Dang, bro, cool. Hope you enjoy the food. A few rock clips later, I ended up finding this. It was an ant colony, but they were super, super tiny. But what stood out to me was the fact that they almost all had wings, which is pretty rare. All of these winged ants are called elates, and basically they're born only once a year. It looks like they were getting ready for their annual nuptial flight, and probably when the morning comes, they're all gonna fly away, find other colonies of elates so they can mate with, and after they're done mating, the males die, and the females tear off their wings to start their own colony. It's pretty cool to see. As I continued on down the trail, I flipped to this, and found some blue death veining beetles. Not only are these guys pretty big and look super cool with their blue exoskeleton, but they have a crazy special ability to develop a kind of wax on their body that acts as a sunscreen. And they do this because the heat can obviously get pretty hot in desert environments, and this sunscreen they produce just allows them to thrive while other animals have to take breaks from getting too hot. But one of my favorite desert animals in the world was found under this rock. It's a velvet ant, but on YouTube, they're known as cow killers.
The sharp power detects clean and empty, designed to capture more dirt and debris.
I've made videos about keeping these guys as pets, and yeah, it said their sting is strong enough to kill a literal cow. I don't know if that's true, but I'm not gonna test it.
But there's actually something I want to test with this guy. Because you see, if we get out the Terra Green activity book and go over to the desert section, you can see it says cow killers make a squeaky sound when threatened. And yeah, I kind of use this book as like a handbook, but I've never actually seen a cow killer do that. So let's test it with this guy.
Using some tweezers, I picked it up. And don't worry, this doesn't hurt it at all because this exoskeleton is like a rock and basically is impossible to squish. While holding it, you can see the little stinger extend out of the back of the abdomen. But then I started to hear it squeak. As you can see, they're able to repeatedly contract their abdomen to make this squeaky sound when threatened. And honestly, I don't really know why they do this, because if I was a predator, this squeak would not deter me. I think they should just stick to using their insane stinger as a deterrence method. The next object I flipped had something I've never seen before. It's a camel spider. Probably the most creepiest, most disgustingest creature in all of the desert. I mean, it's a spider that almost looks like a scorpion. It has a mouth of like an evil demon. But I know these guys from a video uploaded almost 10 years ago, where this guy Coyote Peterson, for some reason, let a massive camel spider bite him. And yeah, this was his reaction.
Holy cow, that hurts.
Oh my gosh, his little mandibles are razor sharp.
Jeez, that hurts, like little tiny needles going into my finger.
Yeah, I don't know what you expected, bro. Why on earth would you let this thing bite you? I'm definitely not gonna do the same, and so I kept exploring. Now, by this point, I was getting pretty near the end of the trail, and some of the final rocks I was flipping, I was finding some more scorpions, which obviously I made all glow. I even found this baby scorpion next to an adult scorpion, and I don't know if this is the kid or something, but I do know scorpions have some of the most interesting ways to raise babies. Because once the moms give birth, all of the like 20 baby scorpions will latch onto the back of her and just chill there for up to 20 days. Very cool. Since deserts are super dry, you find a lot less of the tiny little bugs that I was finding in the forest, so a lot of the final rock flips just straight up had nothing. And I got all the way to rock 100, and when I flipped it, thankfully there was actually something. And I mean something insane. This is a wolf spider, which in itself is not actually that rare. I found a ton of them